Yeah. Yeah. Well, they'll fail. That's
I'll call this meeting of the Sheriff County Board of Adjustments to order. This meeting will begin with a public hearing. Anyone other than the applicant or the representative wishing to speak must register and submit the registration slip to the zoning administrator at this time. Following the public hearing, the board will conduct its monthly business meeting, at which time we will vote on the applications. You may stay for the meeting and hear how the applications are decided, or you may leave following the hearing. The applicant and town board will be sent a copy of tonight's decision. Any other person wishing to receive a copy of a decision can sign the sheet at the table at the front of the room. Those of you wishing immediate knowledge of the outcome of these proceedings may call the county zoning office tomorrow morning. The procedure we will follow for hearing the application tonight is, after the application is read, the applicant or agent or representative will have the opportunity to present their application, followed by any questions or comments from the board. Then all correspondence will be read. Then others in favor will have a chance to speak. Anyone objecting will then have a chance to speak. I will then ask for a summary of the board's field observations and any staff comments. Finally, the applicant will be allowed a chance for a brief rebuttal if they wish. Anyone wishing to speak should use the microphone at the podium, state their name, and direct their comments to the board. I ask that all testimony be kept brief and to the point. Tonight's hearing will be recorded and the recordings will become part of the record. Comments that are based on hearsay or secondhand information, as well as slanderous or prejudicial remarks, will be ruled out of order. The board has looked at all the properties and the record will reflect their observations. Any person affected by an administrative decision of this board has 30 days from the filing of tonight's decision to make an appeal. Such appeal shall be heard by the Waushara County Circuit Court. Information is available from the clerk of court's office and qualified legal counsel. The county assumes no liability and makes no warranty as to the legality of any construction commenced prior to the expiration of this 30-day period. And I'll introduce the board. Jess Urban, John Benz, John Shirk, George Peterman. I'm Kevin Fitzgerald and our zoning administrator, Todd. First hearing and our only hearing tonight, Daniel and Diane Mockmeyer has made an application for a variance in accordance with sections 58-235, sub 5, sub B, and 58-542, sub C, sub 2, sub 4, and 58-826, sub B, and 58-903, sub S, sub 1, sub B of the Waushara County Zoning Code to raise and rebuild an existing non-conforming single-family dwelling and construct an approximate 12-foot by 18 addition and a complete second story to a non-conforming single-family dwelling. Non-conforming due to less than the required side lot setback, 15 feet required, and to exceed 25% of the footprint, less than half the distance to the ordinary high water mark, 35-foot minimum, and to come within 59 feet of the center line of 4th Avenue, 63 feet required, in the RS-20 residential single-family zone in the town of Coloma. Location: a parcel of land being Lot 3, Block 1, Kalagugi Sunrise Park, Section 33, T18N R8E, Town of Coloma, fire number N115, 4th Avenue. The applicant, Dan, you want to come up and tell us exactly what you want to do there, and the board will listen, and then we'll have some questions for you. Both of you can come up.
Okay.
Yep, just state your name.
Is this on?
Yep.
I am Dan Mockmeyer. I am one of the owners of the property that in question. This is my wife, Diana.
Okay.
So we have been working with quite a few people, Todd and zoning, for Rick and Kyle for quite a few years, actually. This started regarding our septic system. We wanted to remediate the old existing septic system. And part of that, we also recently have moved up here and we want to make this our retirement home. So one of the things we're trying to do with regard to the building is eliminate steps for us as we age. So that's where we're trying to add a little addition on the back and a second story onto the existing property so that we have a level entrance into the into the building from the garage. So it would be at the same level. The building, the building envelope on the lot is is very challenging. We looked at several options. We worked.
This many.
Oh, my word.
And so our initial submittal and plan was, sort of a 2,200 square foot footprint, which was too big for that lot. And so we've really scaled back, again, working with Todd and Rick and all the folks at zoning, scaled back the design and the footprint so that the existing footprint is roughly 700 square feet. And so we're adding approximately 280 square feet on the back side of the building. And then the second level. So we feel that it's a reasonable size structure for the lake. And for us, it meets our needs. And it really, it is something that we feel is appropriately sized for the lake. And we want to make this our full-time home.
Okay. I got some questions. Just answer them as best as you can.
Yep.
Has there been a recent survey?
Yes.
So you know where the lot lines are?
Yes.
We know where the ordinary high water mark is?
Yes.
Is that a yes or a maybe?
Wait.
Yes.
But yes.
Okay.
The original plat of survey is
Okay.
from 19.
Yeah, I know when we were out there, we talked about erosion and stormwater runoff.
Yeah.
What do you plan to do? Silt barrier when you're under construction and all that?
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Yes.
You're going to keep the same foundation except for the addition? And what kind of foundation is that going to be on?
The new foundation for the addition will be a poured concrete wall.
Okay. There'll be no walkout basement except that crawl space where you went in the front?
Yes.
Correct.
Okay.
That's going to be the only.
And that's that was for storage, right?
Storage.
That will be for storage.
Not for living quarters?
No.
No.
Okay.
We will have stairs that go down just because
Well, your well and your furnace is there?
All the mechanicals are in that
Okay.
in that storage level.
So what you have there now, you're not going to change the grade, and in the back, it'll be pretty level to where you go in now? Or are there stairs on that?
There were stairs on the side, but they're also going to have a deck up, like right up
Yeah.
above to the
Yeah.
first floor.
Yep.
Okay.
So the garage level will adjoin the new level that we're putting on.
You're going to have to excavate in the back where you're going to put the addition on it. What other filling and grading are you going to have to do?
We will probably have to bring in some fill to bring in between the garage and the new structure, the new addition up a little bit there.
The finished height will be less than 35 feet?
Correct.
Yes.
Any other improvements planned?
No.
Setbacks. Let's talk about setbacks. Are all the setbacks going to be met to the best of our ability here?
To the best of our ability, on the south side, we will meet the 15-foot setback. We will meet with the new addition, we will meet the 63 road setback. On the north side, we are about 8 feet off the lot line there. And then the 35-foot setback from where the pin is to the house, we impinge that by about a foot.
The one corner by the lake, what was that?
8 foot. It was 8 foot to the north lot line. It's that northwest corner.
But-
And then 34 foot to the ordinary high.
And then, but
You're talking-
ordinary high water mark, wasn't there? They were within a foot of that. too or
Correct. They're
something?
34 foot, which
Yeah,
35
34.
would be the half.
Okay. You're getting rid of the septic system and you're going to a holding tank?
Correct.
Okay. You've already told us you've considered all other options for 2 years with that
Yes.
plan, all the
Yes.
plans there. What makes this a hardship and unique property limitation?
Our building envelope, because of the shape of the lot, it's It's a parallelogram, right?
That's pie shape.
Yeah.
That's
So our building envelope is very small. We looked at trying to build within that building envelope, and it was just very difficult to make that structure work because of its odd ordinary shape. One side is 15 feet in depth, and the other side is 25. So it's just not a very
it's not
buildable.
practical.
Yeah. When we were there after we had our little meeting in the back there, we discussed that. And Todd explained to us that if you had to meet all the setbacks, you would have a very small sliver that you couldn't really build a buildable building.
In everyone's packet, there should have been Rick's on-site notes and then as part of that, we had kind of drawn in all of the setbacks, ordinary high, the side yard setbacks and the roadway setbacks. And, we were just mentioning it's a parallelogram. I mean,
Yeah.
I was looking for the word for that. I was sitting there going equilateral, but that would be a triangle. Sorry.
I don't think there's any non-conforming structures on the lot? None.
Nope.
If you approve, do you know what permits you will need?
Yeah, we'll need a land use permit, a construction permit. We'll have to, I would imagine, pull plumbing, electrical,
Yeah.
all those permits for.
If this would be granted, when do you want to start?
We would start in the spring of 2023.
Okay, that's all the questions I have at this time. John Benz,
Nothing right now.
John Shirk,
Nothing.
Jess? Nope. George? No question. Okay, no further questions. If you'd like to have a seat, we'll move on.
Thank
We'll
you.
keep going. Correspondence.
Okay, we have received a couple letters. I'm going to read them into the record. First was received on September 8th from Donald and Lorraine Kruger. Is it Krieger? Krieger. Addressed to Washera County Board of Adjustments. This letter is written in support of the proposed application for variance for the addition and renovation of the residence of Mr. and Mrs. Daniel Mockmeyer at Pleasant Lake within the limits of the town of Coloma. Mr. and Mrs. Mockmeyer are the neighbors to the immediate south of our property at Pleasant Lake. They purchased the property approximately 10 years ago from the original owner who built the residence at the same time as we built ours 70 years ago. Immediately upon the purchase, they implemented repairs, cleanup, and improvements to the property, including cosmetic upgrades to the exterior of the existing residence. They have consistently maintained the property as a permanent home and have proven to be both congenial and respectful neighbors. We are aware of the proposed modifications to the existing residence and have no objections to the improvements of the property immediately adjacent to ours, despite the nonconformance of the current zoning restrictions as listed in the notification. Having been a property owner on the lake for many years, we do not foresee any adverse impact to the surrounding property, including ours, from the proposed addition and renovations. We believe that will in fact enhance the property values within the area. We support the approval of Mr. and Mrs. Mockmeyer's application of variance by the board. Regrettably, we will not be able to be in attendance at the hearing scheduled for September 15th. However, as an adjacent neighbor, we will be available to be contacted at the number listed below to discuss the matter directly. Please feel free to contact us at any time. Sincerely, Donald and Lorraine Krieger. I also have a second letter dated and received September 10th from Mark Kirschner, chairman of the town of Coloma. The town of Coloma has no objections for variance request for Dan and Diane Mockmeyer to build a small addition and add a second story on the property located at N115 4th Avenue, town of Coloma, Washera County, Wisconsin. If you have any questions, please contact me. Sincerely, Mark Kirschner.
That it for correspondence?
And that's all I have.
Okay. No one in favor? Nobody objecting?
Nope.
Anyone for information only? Nope. Staff comments?
Okay. For the benefit of the board and for the record, I'm just going to give a quick summary of our report. This home, the original home and sanitary system predate county zoning. So county actually maintains very little records and very little information on this property prior to 2002. Throughout the years, though, we have conducted a number of on-sites with the current owners to discuss various options for building additions and possible raise and rebuild. County did grant a variance in 2003. However, that was to allow construction of the detached garage, which is located right out at 4th Avenue. And that was to come within 40 feet of the center line of the roadway when 63 feet was required. Staff has met with the Muckmeyers as recent as 2020 and then again more recently in 2021 to discuss all possible building options. Staff did establish the fact that the northwest corner of the home was set back approximately 8 feet from the north side lot line and only 34 feet from the ordinary high, resulting in the need for numerous variances going forward. Given the fact that it was only 34 feet back, that would have required that the home either be moved to an location that meets all applicable codes, or it would have been limited to rebuild and repair, only within the three-dimensional envelope. And as we just discussed, given the existing configuration of the lot and all the setbacks, it would have been extremely difficult, if not impossible, to build a house that met our codes. Based upon the recommendations from staff, the applicants are now proposing to raise the existing one-story home and rebuild the home within the existing footprint. In addition, they seek to construct a smaller addition onto the rear side of the home, as well as a second floor upon the entire structure, which will now cantilever over the front or lake side of the home, essentially squaring off the residence. The proposed total footprint of the home will be 996 square foot, and that's with the addition, which by today's standards, I think we can all agree that that's quite modest in nature. The board did visit the property at their recent onsite on Monday, September 12th, and were generally supportive of the variance requests. The board recognized the fact that the hardships presented by the applicants were not self-imposed and believed the proposal was in keeping with similar requests recently approved by the county. They also believed that the proposed improvements would pose no detrimental impact upon the lake and or adjacent properties. Staff has been working with the Muckmeyers over the past few years in an attempt to address their building desires and needs, while at the same time being sensitive to county codes and shoreland and lake setbacks. We believe the proposal is in accordance with past variance requests and actually quite modest in nature. Outside of the foundation walls needed for the small addition at the rear side of the home, most of it, if not all of the existing foundation, is to remain, resulting in less for potential erosion and runoff into the water. While the board will be making a recommendation on this request later in the evening, staff is recommending approval of the variances listed in the report. I would like to just point out two conditions based upon our onsite. Condition number 5, we are going to put a condition in that prior to the issuance of a land use permit for the home rebuild, the applicant shall convert the space above the detached garage back to personal storage per the originally approved variance and original land use permit for said garage. All appurtenances associated with overflow living should be dismantled and or removed, and the applicants will be required to file an accessory structure affidavit for the garage, which maintains a storage area above. We will go out and verify compliance at the time of land use permit for the structure. The other one is number 6, impervious surface calculations will be required at the time of land use permit. And additional mitigation may be required if total impervious surfaces exceed 15%. I think we've shown that we know that it's going to exceed those. Additional mitigation may be required just to pick up the additional above and beyond.
Why don't you explain to her what the mitigation could be?
And the mitigation may be that you might have to do an infiltration pit just to pick up the additional 200 square foot of, and actually, I apologize.
You're gonna go with 300 or mitigation, because
Yep.
you're not gonna be more than 30%.
Correct.
And you have a new septic and you'll have not approved structures by the water. So that's a quick 4 points to do with that.
But in addition, they'll probably exceed slightly the 30%. And for that, we'll have to do a small infiltration pit. It's just a stormwater pit. I think it was quite modest because I think we were at 31%, if I'm not mistaken. So we'll have to pick up that additional 1%, and we'll work with you throughout the process.
And is that like gutters off the garage into a
Correct. Into a stone pit, basically, for additional drainage.
like a French drain?
Correct.
And if you capture more than what's required, it's always better. Because if you got the whole side of the house that you're gonna go to it, you'll get credit for all that. We'll work with you with John Olson from Land Conservation to do that.
And that we probably want to go back towards the garage, away from the lake.
Yeah.
That capture.
Yeah.
Typically.
And having your vegetated shoreline is good to filter any runoff that might be on the front side of the house too, but we'll look at that and figure something out.
Said we need to file an accessory.
An accessory structure affidavit is just an agreement. There was one, I went back and looked at the original land use permit, and there wasn't anything filed for that. Current codes to date state that if you're going to have a storage area above a garage, we have you file an accessory structure affidavit. It's just an affidavit confirming that you agree to not use that for overflow living or overflow accommodations. And we talked about that when we were on site. That's all I have.
Any questions of Todd? Yes?
Nope.
George, John,
Nope.
John?
John.
Okay.
Yeah, done.
Somebody Kennedy.
Any rebuttal? You're good?
We're good. The 15, so the 15% typical.
So the 15% is kind of, and at anything below 15%, you don't have to provide any mitigation for. Between 15 and 30%, we have a requirement that you have to pick up 4 points. You'll get 2 points for a up-to-date and current sanitary system, and 2 points for no non-conforming structures on the property. So there's your 4 points. If you go over 30%, then we have to do the mitigation to bring you down to that 30% limit. Yep. Yep, you're welcome.
Got it? Okay. That'll conclude our public hearing and we'll go into our business meeting. Approval of the agenda, please. Yes,
I move to approve the agenda.
second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed. Approval of minutes from the prior meeting, George? Oh, you? weren't there. Oh, John,
I'll move to approve.
that's from Monday?
Yep.
John, first and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed. New business, public hearing. Anybody?
We call the,
Yep, I'll do it. Let me just read this. A variance at parcel land at Town of Coloma N 115 4th Avenue for the Mockmeyers.
okay, Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the application.
You've heard the reason. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
John seconds it. All those, we'll wait and hold the vote till we understand the reason why John wants to approve it.
Sure, an unnecessary hardship is present. The current code requirements would be unnecessarily burdensome and prevent the applicant from using the property for permitted use because very few alternatives exist. The impacts of construction are being minimized by placement of the addition and minimal excavation near the water. A minimal relaxation of the code is being granted. A permitted use is not possible on this property without a variance approval. The circumstances are beyond the control of the applicant and are unique to the property, not the applicant. The lot predates zoning regulations, and the construction matches the lot and the available area. The hardship limitation of setbacks is due to unique physical features and limitations of the property, not the circumstances of the applicant, as follows. Very little or no buildable area exists for relocation of the structure. The lot is irregular in shape. The lot depth is very shallow. Steep slopes exist. It's an overall small lot size and erosion is possible. The variance will not harm the public interest or neighboring land uses and damage the intent of the zoning code because visibility is good at the driveway location. Traffic is light. The septic will be upgraded. Traffic is slowed here. A turnaround is proposed. Good vegetation exists or is proposed. The proposed use will not harm the public, zoning code, or neighboring land use if conditions are followed. A literal enforcement of the zoning code would be unnecessarily burdensome. And therefore, if the requested approval is variance is approved, the following conditions shall apply. The development must be in substantial compliance with the site plan and testimony provided tonight at the public hearing. The first floor elevation and filling and grading shall be done in accordance with the site plan and any additional information provided this evening. All other required setbacks must be complied with. All permits must be obtained, including land use, building, and sanitary. And prior to the issuance of land use permit for the home rebuild, the applicants shall convert the space above the detached garage back to personal storage per the originally approved variance. An original land use permit for the said garage. All appurtenances associated with overflow living must be dismantled and or removed, and the applicants shall also file an accessory structure affidavit for the garage which maintains a storage area above the garage. Staff will verify compliance at the time of the land use permit. Impervious surface calculations will be required at the time of the land use permit. Additional mitigation may be required if the total impervious surfaces exceed 15%. All code requirements must be complied with. It's the responsibility of the builder and landowner to protect the neighboring lots, lake, and road during construction. Standard erosion control plans must be in place prior to construction starting. Any future construction cannot occur without first obtaining a variance. The applicant will allow agents of Washera County access to the property to ensure compliance with the terms of this decision, Washera County codes, and state and federal laws. The landowner is responsible to maintain good visibility at the driveway entrance. The landowner is responsible for determining lot lines and required setbacks, and the building shall not exceed a maximum height of 35 feet.
Okay, I just a little bit of clarification on section C, number 3. The septic will be upgraded. Should that read a holding tank will be placed instead of
We
a
could-
septic?
We,
Or is that
that
a
that is,
septic and a holding tank considered the same
it
thing?
is still
It-
considered part of the septic system.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, then leave it. I just wanted to make sure
Good.
that it was clear.
Good.
Okay, any other questions or comments before I ask for a vote? Okay, you've heard the reasons. We got a second, and we will take a roll call vote. Jess?
Yes.
That's a yes. George? John?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Yes. The chairman votes yes. 5-0. The motion is approved for the variance. Congratulations.
Happy building.
Yeah, that's my line. I always say that. Happy building, and I hope the price of lumber goes down for you. We're just gonna do a little bit more housekeeping here, and you can stay and you can ask questions after